What's up, guys? Welcome back to the Colecast. I am Francis. I am your sometimes host. It's been a lot recently, though. Let's solve that. If you want to apply to be the host of the Colecast, please email me, info@coleiron.com. It does not pay. I will not relocate you, and you have to be here and present every Wednesday, 9 a.m. until about 10 a.m. So
Jeff Dotterman would do it.
Yeah. Nate Howitt would do it. I've got a short list here of recruits. Totally a joke. Please don't actually do that. I'd feel bad if somebody actually sent me an email saying they wanted to do that. So I am your host. We are here with Charlie and Josh Prince. We have talked about Josh coming out and doing a class with us. Some plans got changed, rearranged, and we are just going to straight up shoot some content and a class and make some of these little guys, these little creatures, these little buddies. And today we're going to interview Josh. We're going to talk to him about how he got into the metalworking world, maybe some of his background, what he enjoys to do outside of metalworking. We don't know. We're kind of keeping the topics up in the air. But I am not as smart as Josh is, and I am not as in tune with knife making. So we're going to let Charlie kind of lead the interview in his first lead host position. So, and I'm going to let these guys talk, and obviously I might join in the conversation. But Josh is in my opinion, world-renowned. I don't know if you can have an opinion about being renowned or not, but world-class knife maker. I talk all the time on the podcast about how I am not a knife maker. I don't get they don't skittle my gibbles. You know, it's like knives are cool, but once you see one, you see all of them. But when I got into blacksmithing, you were one of the only knife makers that I followed because it is new and it's refreshing and it's not the same thing over and over and over again. And you're pushing your boundaries. And we got to meet at Blade Show a couple years ago, and I kind of told the story, and I doubt you remember it, but we were sitting at the same table. Josh Weston was finishing up his knife build.
Yes.
And we started talking, and I was like, man, listen, I don't know anything about knives. And we just talked about your job. we talked about your job, and we talked about how I had just taken over some shipping responsibilities, and it was so refreshing not to talk about knives for the first time in 15 hours.
I don't get to talk to anybody about my job because I never know how to explain it, and it's so boring. My wife, least of all, she doesn't want to hear any work stories. It's like she just wanders off.
Yeah, my girlfriend's the complete opposite. She's like, "What happened at work today?" And I'm like, "You wouldn't care." And she's like, "Oh, but I do." Please. But I am very excited to have Josh here. I'm excited to see what kind of stuff we can get done with him, be inspired by him. I know Greg is really excited. Charlie's excited to have Josh out here. And I know that there's just kind of a buzz around the shop, both because of Josh and also because we just got a new freaking VF4 delivered today. So we've got the VF4 and the VF0 in place. We are going to start turning parts again. Not turning parts. That's a lathe, but milling parts very soon. We're supposed to get the tech out here in the next couple weeks and, or in the next week, to get it rolled out. Isn't it? Oh, he did get scheduled for tomorrow. We have to get a hold of him and schedule it.
Yeah.
So anywho, that will be up and going, but I don't have a ton of stuff to talk to you guys about. Come to the Andy Davis Hammer In. We will have raffle tickets available. We're going to do them 5 for $5 or, 15 for 10. So 5 for 5, 15 for 10.
That's a good deal.
Yes. So essentially $1 or 75 cents. You pick how much you want to spend on raffle tickets, so they come with a bulk discount. We have an induction forge. We have a kiln. We have T-shirts and are they Stanley's? Stanley-esque mugs from Sofa. I think
they're Hudson's.
God bless it.
Dude.
I believed you for a second.
There is a Hudson cup. That's a knockoff Stanley. It's at Walmart.
Oh. I believed you for a second.
It's true.
It's true,
Evan,
man.
look it up.
I'm on it.
We have an Abanda gift package. I have some stuff we're going to give away on top of the induction forge. Not give away, but raffle away. And once again, Warriors Way will be out here. They will have knives for sale. You will be able to donate to their cause. I am full well and expecting them to receive donations and for their knives to sell out before you think about raffles. Take care of them. They take care of our veterans. They literally save lives, and we're very honored for them to come out and share the space with us. The raffles help us keep our costs low and help us kind of give back to the community in the way that is sustainable. But even more important than that is coming out and supporting Warriors Way and supporting the other makers that are taking their time to come out, sell you tools, get you equipped with what you need to push yourself and further yourself in your endeavors. So that's my quick spiel. Come to the Hammer Inn, buy raffle tickets, but not until you support everybody else that came out, because they're way more important than we are. Anything I forgot, Evan?
Did you say when we're doing the raffle drawing?
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that. So this year we're not going to be doing a food truck. We are going to be doing a longer break for lunch, so you can go out and go to some local spots. We've got El Burro Loco, we've got the Anderson Grill, we've got Lemon Drop, we've got Oakley Brothers. We've got a lot of places that are really good. New hot dog joint just opened like 2 blocks away. It's called like Zeke's Street Hot Dogs or something like that. I haven't been yet, but I'm really excited about it. So we're going to let you guys go. And instead of just having something on site, we once again want to have a good positive impact in our community. So go down, support Creatures of Habit, support the taco place that's outside the mall. Like, don't go to Applebee's, don't go to Rallies. If you're going to come here, come and experience Anderson. It is not going to be like going to France and eating escargot. I can promise you that. But we want to be able to share what great community we have with our physical community. So that's why we're not doing that. We're doing an extended lunch for you guys to have the ability to do that. And then at 12:30, we will do the raffle on Saturday. So you will have all day Friday and the morning of Saturday to prepare for the raffle. And then you'll have an hour and a half lunch and then come back for the raffle. And if you're not here, you can still win. I'll just have you write your name down. That's fine. So you can take a 2-hour lunch if you want. Cool? Is that it? Is that all I forgot? Thanks for the reminder. We'll get going.
Right on. I didn't know Warriors Way was going to be right here at the shop.
Yeah, so they're about 2 hours away-ish.
Okay.
So anything that we do, we invite them out to. We try to go out to their events. This will not come out in time, but we're going out there this weekend, taking you out there to show what they do.
Okay.
They're 2, 3, 4. Man, they've grown. They've doubled in size. There are 4 people there that they're small because they don't take salary. There's nobody on a board. There's nobody. It's 100% given is completely turned around and given away again.
Mm-hmm.
So we like supporting them and what they do because of that nature of the mission, that it's not a big conglomerate. You know, one of the problems with charity is that like 10% of their funding actually goes to their research or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of it goes to board or expenses or whatever. And these guys genuinely do it out of the bottoms of their hearts. So we try to work with them as much as possible.
So the percentage they give to the to the people that are supposed to benefit is
100%.
Yeah, 100%.
100%.
Yeah, that's excellent.
So if it's not keeping the lights on, buying steel, or buying propane, they pretty much don't spend money on it.
Right.
Yeah. So
It's kind of parallel to what you were saying. Like, if you're going to get food when you're there, like go somewhere local, because you're giving 100% to the community versus a corporate conglomerate, which, you know, who knows what they're into beyond just the food business, which is, you don't know. You know?
At all. Yeah, it's a weird, I don't want to say depraved, but almost depraved community or civilization that we live in, like you said, where it's like, if I want to go buy a cheeseburger, I don't know where that money is going and what it's going to support. I know that my iPhone is going to support terrible things that happen across the globe.
That's right.
And unfortunately, I have 3 other options, and they all do the exact same thing. You know, so I think it is a good reminder to us, though, to make sure that when we are traveling for blacksmithing events or when we're traveling for work events or whatever, to try to find the local thing and have the closest impact to where we're at.
Except for Starbucks. Starbucks is...
I've heard some of the founder, like him talking and stuff. Like, I kind of like what he's about. Like, I've just mildly listened to him. I'm not super familiar, but not like Nathan and Ford, but I've liked what I've heard from him.
If you are not able to make it out to either of the events, you still can donate online at any time at warriorsway.org.
Boom.
Boom.
Got it. All right. So, Josh, tell us about yourself. Where'd you grow up? How'd you get into blacksmithing? Just a brief overview of what we need to know before Charlie takes over.
Oh, boy. So I'm fresh from the airport as of this morning, straight to here. So it's been great so far. I got to see everything you guys are doing. I'm from Barrington, Rhode Island is where my shop is now, but my upbringing was largely in Vermont, in a rural part of Vermont, which was awesome. We just lived up on the top of a hill. My family were not farmers, but they decided that in the 60s they wanted to get out of New York City and go be subsistence farmers. So that was the upbringing I had, living in the country.
That's
and
awesome.
Living with animals, pigs, chickens, ducks. And then from that we moved right into Providence, which is actually a pretty large city, and we're exposed to a totally different lifestyle with a totally different bunch of people. But the art has been the family business. So both my parents were artists, and that was kind of the family thing. That's what we all did when we were bored. If you had nothing to do, you got handed a lump of clay or a pile of wood, and we had access to all the tools. So that's always been something both me and my brothers have been involved in. Despite having a career, which we all three do, there's three of us. I have an older brother and a younger brother, so we all have careers, but we're also still doing art. My younger brother makes holsters for he has like a website, and he makes holsters for guns that he does all the stitching, the cutting, stamping. He's got a little bit of equipment. My older brother's less involved, but he's probably the most talented actually out of the three of us.
Oh, really?
He's the most capable, but does the least. But he's pretty brilliant.
Yeah, he's got nothing to prove. He's just
maybe he's over it. He's like, I've done all I can do here.
Yeah.
You guys take it over. And knife making has been since 2016. So along the arc of everything I've done, it's probably the least amount of time I've spent at something, but it's the greatest amount of success, both financially and in terms of recognition and community. So it's got a few different dynamics to it, as anything does that really pulls you in. It's not just the work, it's also the community. It's also, I can sell the work and keep myself going with it, and I get to do all these things that keep me engaged. So directly before knife making, I probably would have been furniture that I would have been most focused on, but I've dabbled in just about everything. Artistically, I like mechanisms, gizmos. I like machinery. Charlie, I think, is similar in that way. He likes a gadget, something.
Yeah.
He likes a gadget, a little experiment, a little bit of engineering in the way, a naive engineering.
Yeah.
The kind of person that would take things apart as a kid, which you probably were. I'd go to Salvation Army and disassemble toys, get the motors out, sell some of them at school, try to make some kind of robot at home.
Yeah.
I made, when I was probably 10 or 11, somewhere around there, I made a pinball machine made out of wood.
That's cool.
I had to figure out how to actuate the paddles, and I tried it got to a point where I had tried to add electronics that they would keep a score, and I got so frustrated, I actually smashed it apart with a hammer.
Oh, no.
Like one of the only ever mental fits I had with my work. That's not really part of my personality, but I had just gotten to a point where I just destroyed the whole thing. Anyways, that's not really covers your question, but that's
that tells me, like I asked, where'd you grow up and what got you into it? So it's almost sounds like you've had a lifelong pursuit of expressing yourself through things, not words.
I really wish I could express myself through words in the way of like songwriting or writing poetry. It's like it's in my desire, but it's not in my area of like aptitude.
Mm-hmm.
So I play little guitar. I play guitar, but I can't play any song. I just know the guitar from like an intellectual standpoint.
Yeah.
But I don't have that sort of. Even that is kind of the family business, but only for my father.
Okay.
And he would only play for us, and he never taught us. So that's one of my biggest. I wish that had happened.
Well, you were going to be direct competition if he taught you to play guitar.
Yeah.
You can't have two in the family.
It was his thing. He would every once in a while he'd set up with a guitar and he'd sing some Antiguan calypso, some folk songs from his childhood. We've got a lot of musicians in our family, and that's one of the things that I really wish, that I could have gotten into and been good at.
That's kind of a topic that we get a lot is when we talk to people and say, hey, what got you into this? Not a lot of people are like, well, my dad was a knife maker, or my dad was a blacksmith, or, they talk about, well, growing up, my dad was a farmer and they see or the people around them having crafts and, what they're doing and hobbies and stuff. And then the maker themselves finds knife making or blacksmithing or art or music or whatever it is, and it's always just a little bit different or outside the realm of what other people are doing around them. And that's probably a 5-hour Joe Rogan experience that already exists. But I wonder if there's kind of a connection to that where it's like, when you're growing up, you want to be just like your dad. And then when you're 14 or 15, you only want to rebel against your dad, but you have some of the kind of same intrinsic values and wants because you grew up under his tutelage.
Mm-hmm.
And then you rebel by doing something just slightly askew. Like, I'm not going to play guitar. I'm going to make knives, or I'm going to make furniture, or, and it's like the hand movements and the training and the discipline are all very similar, but it's a completely different outcome.
You find your own inspiration within the context of something familiar. I think you're onto something there.
Yeah.
So I tried to do exactly what my father did in terms of sculpture, and it just didn't speak to me the way it spoke to him because it was his inspiration and it was his personal experiences that brought him to that, or his visual references for what he was trying to achieve with his work without being specific as to what he was doing. And I remember early on trying to emulate his work exactly, and it just didn't speak to me. So instead of doing that, I did things that were like a tangent, not a rebellion per se, but
yeah,
maybe using the same medium, but taking it to a different sort of subject matter.
Okay.
Of course, he worked with a lot of nudes. So at
12,
13, I didn't have enough experience to do a proper nude. Probably I'd be a little better at it now, maybe.
Yeah. A little bit more mature. So what was the defining moment that got you into the metalworking world? Because I don't want to just keep saying you make knives, because you do the sculpting, you do kind of the different aspects of metalwork. You make terrific knives, and I don't want to discount that, but you're a lot more than that as well. What got you into this world? Was, a lot of people say Forged in Fire. Some people saw it at a hit and miss engine show like Nathan did. Was there anything that you were like, oh, I think I can do that?
Well, I always think I can do that. Actually, I started, my first attempt at forging was related to another History Channel show that was a much better show than Forged in Fire, which was called Iron and Fire. And it followed the journey of this guy. It was all fantasy made up, I suppose. It was supposed to be real, but it was this guy, Daniel Casey, who was I think he was in Romance, Arkansas, and he was making flintlock rifles. And I was watching the show, and he was forging a lot of the pieces. He was forging the lock and the lock, stock, barrel. He wasn't forging the barrels. He was ordering those, but he was doing everything else. He was building the stock and making the lock and the triggering mechanism. And a lot of that was forged. And it just spoke to me. Like, I was like, I want to try and make my own flintlock rifle and forge some of the pieces. And what I ended up doing was ordering a kit from Track of the Wolf. So all I ended up doing was shaping the stock. And the only reason I did that is because I couldn't buy a left-handed stock from them.
Okay.
They didn't have any. So I had to do the shaping, which woodworking was in my wheelhouse. And I really didn't forge any of the pieces, but I did pour like the pewter muzzle cap, I think they call it, where you cut in channels and then you pour in the pewter. But after that, I decided I was going to set up a forge, to try and do some of the stuff, just get some experience with it. And in high school, I remember they had metal shop, and I hated everything about metal. I was like, I wanted to be in wood shop. I wanted to be in home ec. I didn't understand all the kids that were in metal, because we had in Rhode Island, there's a lot of jewelry manufacturing, so they try to get these high school kids into jewelry by pushing them into these metal programs in high school, and then they could go right into the factory.
Yeah.
I wasn't intellectualizing it at the time, but I thought about it later. I was like, that's why they did that.
Yeah.
But I had never had any interest in it. So it wasn't really something I had a particular attraction to until that point. And I had done a little bit of torch cutting. I had a stick welder like 15 years prior. I had built a little lathe so I could do some wood turning out of angle iron and drill chucks. So I had some experience with it early on, like 15 to 20 years before I started making knives. So I would say that was, making my own forge, which was the typical thing. It was like a Chinese wok, and I found a recipe for refractory, which was like half plaster, half play sand.
Yeah.
And I had a bathroom blower and like some duct work or something. And I used charcoal. Then I tried coal, and then I got my first forge. I think I started watching. Somebody told me, do you know about the show Forged in Fire? Then I started watching that show. So I got the forge, I got the anvil, off eBay.
Yeah.
I got the leg vise, I got the tongs, all that stuff eBay, and I started, fooling around.
Yeah. So you started without going and you had no community. You had Fortune Fire and you had eBay. So you saw what they were doing, and then you went to eBay and found the closest thing you could find to what they're using on the show.
Yeah, that's accurate. And I poked around YouTube, so I found Alex Steele.
Mm-hmm.
I found a handful of other guys. I found some really great English blacksmiths. I think Mark Asbury and another guy.
I don't even know if he counts as English anymore. I think he's been over here so long.
Well, he has a dandy accent.
Yeah. It's very eloquent.
There was another guy I was following early on, Rowan Taylor, and he was reproducing the Sutton Hoof find, which consisted of like maybe some Vikings, but in Great Britain.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know exactly the significance of the find, except they were things from maybe 1000 AD. Maybe I don't know.
I think it's like whatever the Saxon era is.
I mean, some of it was just like things to hang cooking pots on.
Yeah.
And he was reproducing all this stuff with their techniques, which the blacksmithing aspect of this work is still what speaks to me and what's most exciting. I've dabbled in other things, but to be able to adapt blacksmithing techniques onto knife making is one of the things that I'm most driven by. Excuse me. And it's the process, it's the process of trying different things, trying to get sculptural forms. That's another thing I really focus on with the knife making. So the knife is the ultimate object, but the goal is kind of the process.
Yeah.
For me.
I love that you, like you say, you like the process, because like I said, we've not talked a ton about knives or your work. Like, we haven't talked anything about your blacksmithing. But just looking at your knives, whether it be what you're posting on Instagram, what's on your website, on Eating Tools, whatever, there's not a ton of like, there is a signature style that I can tell you've fallen in love with an idea, but you're willing to experiment with the process, and you're willing to adapt and change things. And like you said, I learned this thing and I'm willing to try this, and I'm not going to scrap it just because it didn't turn out perfect. I'm going to figure out how to make it perfect and how, So would you say that you've fallen in love with the process and you've almost romanticized the process of making the knife?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And to repeat a process or to learn something and repeat it it's rewarding, because you're going to get a good outcome, within some parameters, because you don't have 100% control. Because I'm not making like tooling that completely traps the material. So everything's a little different. Things can happen in the process also, which is very exciting. Like even a mishit on a power hammer can turn into a double plunge.
Yeah.
So you kind of find a way to love it, in a sense, rather than discard it, because it's not really, I'm not working to an expectation. I'm working to get a form out that's ultimately interesting, that is reasonably serviceable as a knife. There's some limitations, right? There are no limitations theoretically, but at the end of the day, I do want to make something that is acceptable within a tool that could actually have some utility to someone. Not just because I want to sell it, because I'm not really focused on fantasy. In the fantasy weapons or the fantasy knives space, you can do whatever you want.
Yeah.
Right? It doesn't matter. But I'm not interested in making things that are fantasy at this time. It doesn't mean it never will happen. I've also learned that. Like, don't say I was like, I'm not interested in folders. Next thing you know, I'm making folders. And then I'm making more folders and more folders.
I'm not interested in being a millionaire. I love the fact that you said even a mishit is exciting. I work with Logan and Charlie and Greg, who all make knives, and that's what they're into in the metalworking world. I came up learning blacksmithing from Nathan, and then now it's a guy here local named Kurt Fehrenbach. And the styles couldn't be any different, right? With Nathan and Kurt both, it's like, does it work? Cool, get it out. With Charlie and Logan specifically, it's there's a standard, and we're meeting that standard, and they're microscopic details that they're paying attention to. A mishit on either anywhere I came from is we're either impacting function or we're impacting the appear, or I wanted it to be this, but now it's going this way, and it becomes frustrating. So to hear you say something as it's exciting. Oh, I messed up the process. This is exciting. Now I'm on a new trail and I get to learn more. Like, that's a really cool outlook that I think in the beginning, a lot of us have, because that's kind of, it's like I was a striker. I was hitting something. It's like, oh, I screwed up. Can we fix it? And you kind of get that taken away from you as you realize you're not going to fix everything. So for you to maintain that idea of like, oh, that's not what I wanted to do. Cool. Where are we going now? What are we doing next is really, really refreshing.
I think it comes from the experiences I've had before, because as you're speaking, I'm thinking about a piece of stone. So you're chipping away at it. You have an idea of what you want, and then you break the whole nose off. If it's a human form, or you're carving something and you use a point and you break a limb off, because you can't stick it back on. So I have a lot of experience with that and other things I've done where you just have to. You can't throw 100-pound stone away because you knock the nose off. You have to maybe you'll make something with no nose.
Yeah.
Or maybe you'll turn it into a skull. I don't know. There's all these different strategies to recover. And because forging, there's different mentalities around forging. And I guess some of it's driven by replication, like more along a commercial side, or maybe somebody has a different experience where they were an engineer and everything is about precision. And that's acceptable within forging as well. People do forge to great precision and repeatability, and that's what really satisfies them. It satisfies me until I have it down, and then I kind of want to do something else.
So going back to, you have a full-time job.
I do.
So this is your escape as well. So you're maintaining the fact that it still needs to be enjoyable.
Art is therapy.
Yeah.
It always has been. And, it bears out. We were talking about Warrior's Way, and I mean, what better example of that, than right there, right? I don't know their exact mission, but I know, I get the idea about it, and it's something I've seen replicated across blacksmithing and knife making, specifically for people to have a space where they can just kind of enjoy what they're doing and really be focused, because you have to focus. The more you can focus, the better you're going to get at it. The more you know what you're going to do next, because you plan. In forging, you put it back in, then you know what you're going to do when you take it out. So you're thinking about that, and then you have to rehearse it sometimes. I oftentimes will rehearse my movements in advance. Like, okay, I'm going to take it with my left hand. I'm going to have the top tool in my right hand. I'm going to position it in the dies this way. So all that has to be planned, and it really gets you focused in a different space. So
when we were talking about Warrior's Way, and Charlie, I'll let you take over in a second. When we were talking about Warrior's Way, when we first learned about them, I was talking to Jeff specifically, me and Nathan were. And Nathan kind of had this epiphany where he said, forging has to be really good for a ton of stressors, right? I don't want to call it mental illness, but things like PTSD or ADHD or, whatever, things that are kind of wrong in your headspace, because the only thing that matters is the next move. So you've simplified it, but you still have a mission. And like you said, you're rehearsing, you're planning, and then you're executing, and then immediately you're planning your next move. Yeah. You don't have to worry about 5 steps from now. You don't have to worry about what you did 5 steps ago. It's, what am I doing next? How does it get done? Execute. Okay, move forward. And I think, like you just said, that's a perfect way to say why those things are therapy for not just a typical I got to blow some steam off. I've had a rough day at work, but Warrior's Way has shared a I always forget the hospital. What's the really popular hospital? Mayo Clinic study that forging and metalwork specifically recreates synapses in your brain that are affected by PTSD and trauma and stuff like that. And they'll go in and they'll say, okay, read this paragraph. Tell me how you feel. Okay, read this paragraph. Do this math. It's this whole test. And then they put them into a 6-week metalworking course, and then they test them again. And they're faster at math. They read better. They have a better, not just speed of reading, but understanding, and they can summarize it better. What do you call that? maybe I need a blacksmith so that
Comprehension.
my brain works. Yes, reading comprehension levels go up. So yes, art therapy, painting and drawing and photography, those are all wonderful things, but specifically within metalwork, it's really, really effective to veterans and first responders that have like been through the muck and the mud and seen the bad stuff.
Wow.
So
It is it's all mental exercise.
Mm-hmm.
You know, any art form or anything that requires a high level of attention.
Yeah.
That isn't, just attention to, like you're stamping out parts attention, but sort of dynamic attention where you're doing a specific thing, but you have to think about all these strategies. And then when you mess it up, you really have to think hard. And you got to put in the work. That's the test.
Well, there's theory, there's experience, there's what tools do I have on hand? So while we're taking away 5 or 6 stressors that people are trying to focus on and saying you only have to worry about this thing, like you said, the dynamic attention that you have to pay because you're saying this is what I have been told I can do. This is what I've done in the past. This is what I've been told to overcome that. This is the tool at hand. This is physically where I'm at in the shop. This is where the anvil is. This is, like you don't have, you don't really have time for the in-between of like, oh, did I leave the stove on? Or, oh, that conversation I had with that girl in 8th grade. Wish I could take that back,
No, I don't think about anything. And
Yeah.
if there's too much time in between and the heat's long, then I'll have a side project. Or I'll work 2 knives at the same time. If I know it's going to be a lot of standing around, because I don't like to stand around a whole lot in the forge, because there's nothing to do.
Yeah.
So I'll throw 2 in. It's usually a mistake, but I do it anyway.
Well, you get, it's like, that's an insurance policy. One of them will probably work.
I do a lot. I do everything twice. Yeah. Everything I do that's experimental, I do it twice. Yeah. Because one of them's likely to survive and one of them's not. Or one I'll like more than the other. And I'll, if they're both decent, I'll try to finish them both.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And that's with everything. Yeah. Even the stuff like stainless steel, welding, I just do more. I just defeat the bad odds with just more at it. I throw more at it.
Well, yeah, if the odds are 16-1, you have to do it 16 times to get the 1.
Exactly. It's obligatory.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's a great segue because what I really wanted to be able to listen to is, Charlie's wildly intelligent and will be able to lead the conversation a little bit better than I could with you. But the stuff that you're doing, like you've got some jelly roll in front of us, some woots, the stuff that you're doing now and how it's challenging you and some of the processes that you're going through currently with your work, that's kind of what we were kind of leaning to anyway. But Charlie's going to be able to be a lot more responsive to you than I will on that.
Yeah, we can get talking about shapes and forging and material movement.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man, the triangles are coming out.
We worked on some of that together, the hexagons and the assemblies. That was fun.
A couple of years ago, we both ended up going up to Montana to hang out at Will Stelter's shop, along with Mareko Mamasi and Salem Straub. So we did a lot of hexagonal forging and a lot of pattern development and stuff. That was a lot of fun. We all, we're always chatting online and sharing ideas and stuff, but actually all being together under the same roof and working together, it was really cool to bounce ideas and thoughts off of each other.
Yeah, that went well, I think, within just like the other experience we had where it was me, you, and Nick in Oakland.
Yeah.
Like within 30 minutes we were off to the races, It kind of went the same way, and there was 5 of us now.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah.
And I don't know if it's like maybe everybody's willing to kind of give a little bit when you get together with other people at I don't know, I don't want to say a certain level, but it kind of is.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, you have to be able
or a certain level of interest in a specific thing.
I couldn't go into a forge with you and keep up with what you're doing. So there is a level of that where it's like, hey, this is what I'm doing, and you have to understand it in the moment. And there's also just the fact of you get the instant result and turnaround of whatever you want to try.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not like, oh, well, let me go and try that next time I'm in the forge. It's like the forge is hot, the piece is already in there, it's already hot. You're getting a better turnaround, and you have 5 people that understand what you're doing.
But we have 5 people that have their own ideas about what can be done. So
Mm-hmm.
that was I thought would be more something would take longer to hash out, but it didn't really happen that way. Like I brought a couple ideas. I don't know. I think you probably had a couple of concepts specific to Montana. But again, within an hour, less than that, we were already cutting steel up.
Yeah. Yeah, you had some little
it was a hex.
pattern pieces. Yeah,
it was a hex-based thing.
Hex that had different layers to it to where it all kind of wove together.
And you built the tooling. Charlie was built the press dies for the 16-ton. Was it 16 ton?
25 ton.
25 ton. You built the hex dies.
Yeah, I built.
And the rhombus dies, because these were, the hex was an assembly of 3 rhombus shapes. Mm-hmm. Just like honeycomb basically. But then the idea was that the pattern would flow from one cell to the next. And the hexagon is actually, I got the idea from Mareko, because he was working in these hexagon shapes because they're perfectly stackable, except for the voids where, at the top, bottom, and sides, but you can fill those voids with half hex or segments of hex and come out to a square again, because in order to keep the integrity of the pattern, you have to fill in the gaps, right? Mm-hmm. And you worked out the dies for that.
Yeah, spent all week making dies for Little Stelter.
Pretty much, we had you under the welding hood.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Did he keep all
the milling
those?
Machine.
He kept the dies.
One set I took home with me, yeah, but the rest of them I kept them there.
I was generous.
Oh,
it was his steel.
Yeah, his steel in his shop. I was
That's fair.
Happy to just be there. Yeah, so I remember, I don't know, it was probably, you were just getting into knives. You were only a couple years into it, I think, when I discovered your work on Instagram, and you were doing kitchen knives with the handles with carved whale tails, and doing a fighter jet inspired World War II fighter jet inspired knife.
Yeah.
This guy, he's doing cool stuff, and he's just doing his own thing, he's got, just willing to have a crazy idea and do it and not care about what other people might think or anything, So that was really cool seeing that stuff. And then I met you at, I think that was that same year I saw you at Blade Show.
2019 would have been. Yeah.
So
I was just a couple of years into it at that point. Probably like 2016. But, as it goes, you do a lot of really, really bad stuff. A lot of railroad spike knives and stuff. I hid them all in the basement. I mean, even I didn't like them. I didn't like any of them. Even some of the ones I did finally, I was like, oh, I like this knife. I don't know if I really thought they were great. But once I got to the whale tail stuff and that, I was pretty excited. And I had enough skill there that I could kind of execute it well enough.
Yeah. So your early knife making, you were just figuring it out on your own and watching YouTube and...
Yeah, just YouTube. I think I took a class. With Mareko. His first class he taught in when he was in Connecticut. But I don't remember what year that was. I think it was around 2019 also. So I saw the value of taking a class for sure. If I had access to one and I had knowledge that a class was going to be happening, it made more sense to do that than to just try to figure it out. But I definitely feel like I can learn from visual reference. But I'm sure a lot of people say that. But if I see somebody doing something, I feel like I can reasonably reproduce with practice. Mm-hmm. I know they say, this thing about visual learner. I don't know if it's, I couldn't go out and execute it the first time, but I mean, I'd be willing with that information to attempt it.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. I think that's the important piece is you don't need to see it or do it, do it under supervision to attempt it. So I never felt like I had to have license from anyone to do whatever I want to do.
That was my biggest break. Honestly, like maybe even into adulthood, that was my biggest breakthrough was going to see Nathan and him saying, you want to go forge something? And we were, I think 18 and 19. No, if I was 19, he was 17. And we just went out, we lit a fire and we started a forge and there were no adults. And it was like, I literally asked him, I was like, your mom's not going to be mad? Like there's no adults here. And it was like, you're just allowed. Like you said, I don't need a license. I don't need instruction. I'm just going to go hit it. And when I say, oh, that did something I didn't like, I'm going to do it differently the next time. And that's how most people learn outside of, like you said, classes and direct instruction. And but I do think that's important for that to be one of your first steps, is to just do it. When we have somebody show up to the IBA meetings and they're like, oh, I've never forged before, I give them a thin piece of steel and I give them a hammer, and it doesn't matter what hammer, doesn't matter, just hit it.
They have to have the spirit.
Yeah.
So somebody could hit something twice and then hold it in their hand, bring it over to the instructor and say, how's this look?
Yeah.
It's like, go hit it some more.
I think I'm
and then
done.
come back 2 hits after that. How's it look now? You know, and you get that sometimes, you know, when you're teaching, you're going to get a lot of that, because the people who are maybe showing up to learn don't have a lot of self-doubt about doing things with their hands, or just don't have that exact spirit. Doesn't mean they can't learn or get really good at it, but it's just attitude. Different people have different attitudes, but my attitude has always been, I always think I can do it, which I said earlier, and I don't really need any license from anyone. Nobody's supervising me or critiquing me per se. Maybe you get some of that on social media, but that doesn't really perturb me.
Yeah. You feel like you're pretty immune to people.
I won't say I'm immune, but I mean, I wouldn't take it to heart. I would probably not leave it up either. Although I have left some negative stuff, or stuff I thought was really stupid. I just left it there. Or if somebody says something ridiculous, I'll usually just like it. We
do the same thing, where if it's abrasive to other people, like if somebody comments and is like, oh, well, I would do it this way, and somebody responds and they're like, you're an idiot, we'll take that down.
Right.
But if we post something that we did, or, you know, us being knowledgeable about hydraulics or what we're doing, and we explain it and somebody's like, you're wrong, we leave it up, just because, like you said, it creates a conversation where maybe that person does, I don't want to say feel a little shame, but, you know, gets that like, oh, well,
nothing.
Yeah, they've created a business and they're able to speak on this with some intelligence, and I am a keyboard warrior. You know, as a society, we do need a little bit of that, of self-regulation via the population saying, no, you're wrong. You don't get to sit behind a keyboard and correct the people that do it for a living.
Well, if somebody puts something up and they're shouting into the void, and if you don't respond, it's like, what do they got?
Yeah, if they don't get a reaction, they're going to stop trying.
If you know they're going to check, they're going to keep going back and seeing if you responded. Next day, see if you responded. A month later, still nothing. You didn't delete it. You didn't respond, or you liked it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, not too. I mean, nobody wants negative things said about their work or what they're doing, but I'm sure it's happening anyways.
And I mean that specifically. I do want to say this. I mean that specifically about people who are just being negative for the sake of being negative. There's a big difference between that and somebody who is trying to be positive and constructive about it. Like, oh, hey man, that's a really cool design. Were you trying to do this?
Right.
Hit me up because I can show you how to do it. It looks like the first time I tried to do it and got it wrong.
Oh, they want to teach you.
There's a big difference. Exactly. Yeah.
They're an expert and they're going to show you whether it's true or not. You know, maybe.
You don't know until you talk to them.
People solicit advice sometimes. Even on YouTube, like people who are doing pretty high level stuff are like, tell me what you think. Put it in the comments. They're obviously trying to drive comments, but I think legitimately they're looking for somebody who probably knows more than they know about the subject.
Yeah.
I see that a lot.
Yeah, every once in a while you'll get a good comment of someone that actually knows what they're talking about. It's like, oh man, like I wouldn't know to look there or, find that source of information. And it's helpful to do that.
I mean, it's social media, so comments are currency.
Yeah.
Anyways, I don't think about it that way, but that now that I'm thinking about it, like, yeah, comment all you want. I mean, nobody wants negative stuff, but I kind of go through and respond to. I expect to respond to stuff if there's any questions, but other than that, it's all good.
I hate those viral videos where they obviously do something wrong just to spur all the comments. So you look through the comments and every other comment's like, why'd you leave that wrapper in there? Like they did that so you'd comment so that they boost their post.
Absolutely. Yeah. Spend so much time trying to analyze every 10-second thing on Instagram. Yeah. I'm just trying to figure out if it's AI or not, if I'm being duped. But I mean, My opinion about that is it's either all real or it's all fake. You just have to make a decision because you can't discern. I mean, this is quite a tangent, but it was, since it came up.
No, we talk about it a lot. They're expecting that. If you mention AI, a rant is expected on this podcast.
Yeah, you have to decide: is it all real or is it all fake? Because you think you can discern, but there will come a point where you can't discern. So you'll have to base it on your whole life experience, which if your life is 0 right now, you're just born, it's all going to be real because you will have come up in it. But if you're my age or our age, you have a life before AI and a life after AI, which the boundary was probably like, I don't know, 2024, maybe a little bit earlier, would you say?
Yeah, we started shooting the podcast reshooting it in 2023. Like right at the beginning of 2023, and then we took a hiatus. But me and Dave actually had a full episode specifically discussing AI and its breakout. I would say that was like early 2023, where we were talking about, hey guys, we're like 2 years away from full-length films, undiscernible to the eye. We're going to be able to redo Lord of the Rings and change 5 words and show you next to each other, and you won't be able to tell me which one's real.
That's right. Yeah. So that's where we're headed. So there's a before and after, and you can only base your judgments based on the reality you've known it up to a certain point, and then that's the only way you can judge whether you think something is legitimate or not legitimate, right? Mm-hmm. But even everyone's fooled, so it's like, in the tricks are everywhere, video, audio, written, these funny home videos are not even real anymore. It's like it's fake stuff. It's like, come on, man. Yeah. You ruined funniest home videos.
That's your biggest complaint about AI is they've ruined AFV.
You couldn't even you could not do an AFV show.
Yeah.
They'd have to have like forensics.
Yeah.
Like science. I don't know if there are such forensics for detecting these things.
I know there's computer forensics now.
Are there that can say this is that would be the solution, but that would have to be implemented by a higher power.
Yeah. Oh.
A powerless higher power. A clueless higher power.
So you brought some goodies here.
Yeah.
And walk us through what you wanted to show off, because you've got some really cool pieces here with the creatures and then with some steel that you've made.
Yeah, so I came up with a concept of doing creatures, which is largely from my friend Leah Arapach. She does most incredible steel sculptures. So I wanted to make a creature, but within my ability to and patience and such things, which I can't match hers. So I thought a piece of angle iron would be really cool because you almost get 3 dimensions right away, even though I guess it's 2 planes, but it's it's obviously a 3-dimension. It's not flat in the sense, so it's already 3D. And then I could break out all these articulations on it and bend them out. So I drilled by hand this bar here, which is just it's just a piece of angle iron right now. This is not the one I made, but I did mine by drilling and using an angle grinder and then using a jigsaw to get all into these interior areas. And then I heated it up in the forge and then started to bend the arms out little by little. And Charlie offered to cut one using a laser, and did this in, I think, 12 minutes, would you say?
And the laser, yeah. It was a few days of CAD modeling it and getting them to program the CAD model and stuff. But then, after that, they could cut out 1,000 of these in a day.
Yeah.
So from this angle iron, with all the pieces removed and the articulations ready to bend out, it's just a process of kind of doing whatever you please. That's where the design itself is part of the creative process, but just like deciding how you're going to position these things or what kind of form you want to take. And these 2 examples are great because one is kind of rearing up and the other one's kind of slinking along. Yeah,
there's a ton of emotion in, like, when I look at this, like you said, this one's just kind of like, I'd almost say this is super weird. I'm not artsy fartsy at all, but this one almost is like inquisitive, and it's like it's a little bit longer, so it's not trying to be big and bare, and it's like, hey, what's on up here a little bit higher, whereas this one is almost more of an attacking, like, get going, but they're a little bit different in the design of the cutout, but they're essentially the same idea, showing 2 completely different emotions.
They were fun sculptures. I mean, they're not saying anything on an emotional level. I wasn't trying to say anything, which distinguishes me from what Leah's doing. So mine are just like, wouldn't it be cool to make a centipede out of angle iron? And it kind of ends there. But there's not a whole lot of room for. There's a whole lot of room for manipulating it in a way that's interesting, but there isn't a whole lot of room to make any kind of statement about anything. But so it doesn't always have to be too deep. These are pretty light on the artistic side. So the idea was to get people in and have them unfold their own centipede sculpture.
Yeah.
And Charlie unfolded both of these.
Yeah, I did those as tests for the class to see how they would unfold and if the design was solid, which the plan's to have these available. So if you purchase Josh's class and film it, you don't have to spend 12 hours with an angle iron and a cutoff wheel trying to cut all these little feet and segments. You can just start unfolding and decide how you want it posed and shaped.
And I unfolded one. I made two. One was just for the sake of making a centipede. The second one was a knife holder. So the tall one that's rearing up here, I had a knife cradled in it with the handle up and the tip down. I think the blade was out. I like it when they're a little dangerous. People are like, isn't that dangerous? I'm like, yeah, it's dangerous. Yeah. It's sharp.
Yeah.
Just don't grab at it like a maniac.
It's always funny to me, especially at like knife shows and stuff like that, when people come up and they're like, well, is it sharp?
Yeah.
And like you said, is it dangerous? And it's like, what we do for a living has danger in it. Like every Wednesday when we do our morning meetings, I cover safety because what we do is dangerous. Like, but then when we're presenting our final form, this safety is always the thing. And it's like, I don't know, if I'm making a knife, I'm not going to be that concerned about somebody cutting themselves, because when they buy a knife, they should know there's a cutting edge on it and it's going to be sharp. And that's kind of, I don't know, should be assumed logic, I guess. Like,
these people must have really good knife skills, because my knives are not sharp. And my kitchen knives that I use are not that sharp. I think I got reasonable knife skills, but I just don't feel like cutting my fingertips off or snagging a fingernail. I don't want to deal with any of that. And I don't want to put it in my wife's hands either, or my kids.
Yeah, I definitely have the knives that I have that are nicer and excuse me, actually sharpened, are in a very different drawer.
For like Thanksgiving and I use them for like special stuff, like just cutting potatoes. I just use whatever I got kicking around. But if we get like a nice steak or something, I'll get the good knives out. Yeah. The ones that are actually cut properly.
Cool. So what's up with these? We'll start with these little ones here.
Yeah, there's a jelly roll. So we Charlie and I have been trading like plug weld material, and I actually have made a decent amount of money with Charlie's plug welds in collaboration with another maker. We made a pretty cool knife. I did the pattern with Charlie's plug weld stock that he gave me. You must have given it to me like 3 years ago, and I just had it around on a shelf.
3. I've sent you a few pieces. You've sent me a bunch of stuff too.
So I wanted to bring some back. So I brought a couple jelly rolls, and I brought this one that was the idea behind it. You can't really see it in the image here, but it's basically the idea is I was trying to get a black hole effect, in a sense, like just a large black area surrounded by a bright ring, kind of like an eclipsed sun or like a black hole with the event horizon. I've been chasing that idea for a long time, and I haven't really quite pulled it off. You
need to try that nesting crescent pattern that we were
playing
with before.
The orange slices that go around.
Yeah.
That could be. There's different. I just got to work on the concept, and I haven't done anything with carbon steel, because this is carbon steel. All this is carbon steel. I want to do it in stainless, but it's probably not possible. But I should at least figure it out in carbon steel first.
Yeah.
But it's one of those things you kind of chase for a long time, and you make different iterations. And I've made some stuff that was pretty amazing to look at, but it wasn't on concept for me. So that's what this is. And we won't really be able to tell, because it's at such a scale that it doesn't read the way it will read when it's inflated in a blade. So that's for you to mess with and maybe make some money on it.
Yeah, that'd be sweet.
If you shrink it down, you might get 2 plug welds out of it.
Yeah.
If you shrink it first.
Mm-hmm.
And one side's more centered than the other. So that was basically a donut. I already explained this to Charlie. I made a donut out of W's, and then I punched a hole in it, blacksmith style, like I was making a hammer. So it looked like a slice of pineapple slice when you take them out of the can. And then I dropped a plug into it, a solid 1080, and then I suspended it so it would be equal on all sides, and I filled it with powder.
Okay.
And then I forge welded that a little bit from the top and bottom just to swell the plug, and then the rest of it was done in squaring dies. I stuck a handle on it and extruded it out, but kept it round the whole time to try to keep it concentric.
Good old squaring dies.
Good old squaring dies. It's the best way to make a round is in squaring dies.
Yeah.
I've found.
Yeah. I'd say making anything starting square is just so much easier. Starting with known parameters is easiest by establishing a square first.
It's a perfect trap for welding. Perfect 4-way trap.
Yeah.
That's basically what it comes down to. So even the jelly rolls, they're square before they go back into round. If I want round stock in the end, but even just to weld a jelly roll, which is a jelly roll is like take a leaf spring of Damascus, all different layers, and you roll it up from one end to the other. It looks like a big spiral, but to properly weld that, it has to be done in squaring dies, and you have to commit to a square shape to get it to even weld. You can't just roll it around the dies forever. It'll weld on the outside, but the middle will just roll around in there, and it'll end up full of. I've done it several times, so that's what I learned. You just go once you get it so it's not too much open. You just commit to square, and then you just stay square. And then if you want it round, at the very end, you round it.
Yeah.
Which creates a lot of distortion, but it's better than nothing because you can't get it. That, to my knowledge, maybe you could bring it down to octagon. I think we probably talked about this. You could do, instead of full commit to square, you could commit to octagon and work, 4 facets alternating.
Yeah, you probably could.
You get better pattern flow that way.
I don't know if you'd really compress the center that way, though.
Yeah.
There's always lots of different things to try. I've noticed with doing more and more of the hex Damascus, that last star mosaic pattern I did, actually had a shear right in the center of it because of working it three opposing sides at a time. You just always kind of have a weird kind of shear happening in the middle.
Oh, okay.
Let's try to.
I didn't follow you for a second. Yeah, I get what you're saying.
Yeah, like if you try to forge your round bar sometimes too cold, you'll have like a piping where it will shear right in the center plane.
Similar deal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
that's why when you draw tapers, you don't draw them out by just rolling it around and drawing it out. You got to go. That's probably the reason. You got to draw it out.
Similar thing.
Facets, and then cut all knock all the facets down, and then you avoid that splitting.
Yeah. Yeah. So which I was able to end up getting it back together because it was in the very center of the billet. So like it wasn't a cold shut, it was a shear. So there wasn't any crud in there.
It was clean.
It was clean. So I just sealed it back up and forged it down square. So I really had compression from the two opposing sides, and it was all good and clean after that. So
Nice.
It's always just recovering your mistakes and pressing on.
Always.
Just hoping for that last weld to solve all your problems.
It's hard to know when to give up. I do give up sometimes on projects.
Yeah.
It does happen.
There's also diminishing returns where you're like, you know what, you've already invested so much in it, but you're just not going to return.
It's never frustration. It's just, I think it's like you said, diminishing returns. It's like, well, this is probably not going to work. And I've done it. I've tried to recover stuff so many times that I kind of know, like with stainless, I've learned, like the carbon steel, I feel like it's harder to find a point where you'll give up because you know that you could probably rescue it almost no matter what.
Yeah.
There's always a technique.
You're just changing your pattern at that point.
Yeah, you're just changing your pattern. Like that weld Charlie was saying, you could You could drop a drift through that and throw a piece of round stock and upset it. Now you got good steel again.
Yeah.
But mostly, like with stainless, my experience has been like there's definitely a point where it's not going to happen, and there's no strategy to recover. That's harder because it's disappointing, but it isn't frustrating to where. And usually there's a way to recover, but then you're not hit. It's always related to the pattern. Now I've got to do a bunch of work to recover what's left because there's a broken weld, and you can't mend those with stainless with flux or more forging. It's done.
Yeah, if it didn't stick, it's never going to stick.
Exactly. Yeah. And I think Logan has some experience with stainless.
Yeah, Logan's been doing some stainless. I know stainless is such a weird thing because people are really protective of it. So there's guys that I know that do a lot of stainless that I don't even know if they want mentioning that they do stainless. And I know that there was the company that was doing it that was threatening lawsuits to anybody making stainless because they had patented one way to do it. And the patent just expired. So now other people are doing it that way. And it's almost, it feels like a taboo, even though it's really not. But it's very tricky. And even sitting and listening to Logan is really good about knowing when I can help with something and knowing when I just need to be present for him to not feel stupid about saying it out loud. So he'll come in and he'll say, I just need to bounce some ideas off of you. I don't need your feedback. I don't need your input. I know that you have no clue what I'm talking about. And hearing him walk through his process of, well, you could do this, you could do that. Well, it's like, so it's not just a different kind of steel. It's a whole new territory of doing stainless. And like you said, it's not just losing your pattern. You lost your entire steel and it'll never stick back together. And you can't use it for something else.
Not really. You can melt it. That's about it. You can melt it, which is, but it's not interesting. Not to me. Melting it is fun. Send
all your stainless that you've messed up to Brett then, because Brett loves melting stuff.
Really?
Oh yeah, he's big on crucible steel, and he's the reason that we found out the 25s could do crucible steel, and
just from that,
he was like, "Hey, I wonder if we can do this." I'm like, well, let's try. And but yeah, if you're not taking it all the way back down, you're not really.
Not really. You got to fully soften it, then you got to try to find where the fissure is, bandsaw through it. Or keep taking exploratory slices until you get to good material, and before you know it, half of it's gone.
Yeah. That's always a bummer when you're slicing stuff. It's like, oh, this looks really good except for that one little spot. More. It's like, just another little slice, and soon you have a big pile of little slices, and it's still...
And it's just getting bigger and bigger.
Yeah.
The exclusion.
That's fun when it gets bigger.
Yeah.
No.
Well, it's opening up. The whole stainless thing. And now there's ChatGPT, so you could literally just ask ChatGPT. It'll tell you the whole thing.
Yeah.
Actually, I was looking. Because you can use flux on stainless, but not the same flux. It's a flux that's incredibly toxic.
Oh, good.
And dangerous. But I guess if you have a full hazmat suit or something, or a big fan behind you or something.
You just need one of those T-Rex suits.
I love that blacksmith remedy is, you either need full PPE hazmat suit, like apocalyptic level, no radiation getting through, or just a semi-big fan.
A big old fan.
Yeah, that's a blacksmith remedy.
It solves a lot of problems. Yeah, working with hot muriatic acid, big fan.
Yeah. Drink a glass of milk after you weld galvanized.
Yeah, angle grinder dust, big fan. Almost is true. Even at a grinder, if you had a big fan going, you almost wouldn't need PPE.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
and keep your everything cooler.
Be a big fan.
So what's going on with the Woots then?
The Woots I made a few years ago, and it was actually propping up a table in my yard for about probably a couple of years, and I've had enough of it, so I thought I'd give it to Charlie.
That's probably historically accurate, though, of guys making, steel for this, steel for that. They have chunks left over, and it's like they probably did have door stops, stuff like that. So.
I think the Syrians were sick of trying to make swords into it. They're like, let's just give this to Europeans and let them suffer through this.
Yeah. What did you get kind of get caught by a Woots bug, or is this just a one-off?
I did, yeah. I built a furnace. I was looking at a lot of the work Peter Schwartzbert was doing. He's in he was at Dragon's Breath Forge in Connecticut, and he's gone up. He lives in Hawaii now, and he's done a ton of work in Woots, but he's very scientific about it. And I was just looking to kind of play around, so I built it's a real simple process to build the furnace, I guess you call it. I'd call it a forge. It's basically just a forge turned up on end, where only the top is open, and then there's a setup with involving propane and diesel that you put in there alternating or together to get that high temperature. So the melts were taking me, like, honestly, the stuff was melted within 45 minutes, which I know with induction it's, I don't know, a couple minutes.
10, 15 to do a full crucible.
Yeah.
Depends on how big your crucible is and what steel you're using. Or
I think Brett usually runs it for like 20 minutes, but that's
Yeah.
making sure it's fully soaked. And stuff.
But we also did carbide we ran that for like 20 or 25 minutes and it still wasn't. So, I mean, there is variable depending on what you're using, but a lot faster than a furnace.
Yeah, I mean, my intentions were not scientific, so I wasn't really looking to research or really to know much about it. I kind of just wanted to melt some and see if I could forge something. And I forged. My results are very inconsistent because, again, and this is this probably would have been either it wouldn't have been carbon steel from Damascus, because you can't. I don't think you want the 15N20 in it, so it would have been wrought iron, and I probably would have put in some basic simple steel plus the charcoal. I don't have pig iron, so it could probably turn out brilliant, but it could also be a disaster. So I got kind of tired of that.
That's kind of the fun with Woots.
It is.
You don't know until you put the etch on it.
Yeah, and for me, the etch, I like the etch that I see other people do. I've never had great success with the patterning, and it's kind of a macro thing. Even when it is a good pattern, it works, but you got to look close.
Yeah,
not from 5 feet away, so you're not going to see it. I mean, I guess you have to love it.
Yeah.
For the historical, it's a combination of things. So I was just honestly fooling around, but I melted so much steel, and I mostly gave them all away. Everybody, I think Will has a stainless, Salem has one, and none of them have touched it. I think they're afraid of it.
Yeah, I've got a chunk of stainless Woots from you that I haven't messed with
Same
yet.
thing.
Which I was kind of waiting to have a temperature controlled forge.
Don't worry about it. Just chuck it in there.
Yeah,
it could work.
Well,
it could be brilliant.
I've got a temperature controlled forge now, but I still haven't messed with it.
Yeah.
One of these days.
Yeah, we've got a couple of them now.
Yeah.
No, it can be nice. And the stainless crucible stuff, I made quite a few knives. I made like 3, and they all broke. They all fractured during grinding. So it's different. It doesn't have the qualities of the steel you put in because it's cooling so quickly, and I don't know what's being introduced by the crucible, because I know there's take up from the crucible itself, from the atmosphere. So it's very primitive and inconsistent, and I kind of just moved on to, once I had been satisfied I melted enough of the scrap I had laying around, I moved on to giving that away too. Some I sent to Peter, the stainless scrap, and some I sent to Mert Tansu in Australia, and I don't think they've done. I don't think Mert's. Maybe they both used it. I don't remember.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You got anything else?
No, just excited for this week. Gonna have a lot of fun. Forge some stuff.
Yeah.
Josh has one of the smallest shops in the country.
I do. Yeah, it's very small.
I got to visit him last year at Abe Shaw Eating Tools. He held a art show for kitchen knives that we both contributed to and attended the opening of it. So in downtown New York, that was really a fun
cool.
little trip.
Yeah.
But Josh he picked me up from the airport. I flew to Rhode Island and stayed with Josh for a couple days, and then we went down to New York together. So it was neat seeing all Josh's artwork, and he had his flintlock rifles on the wall and all kinds of sculpture in the yard and stuff, and plants growing and everything. And it tracked. It was this is this. If I walked in this house, I'd be not even seeing any knives or anything. So that looks like a place Josh Prince would live.
I gotta call Josh. He'd love this place.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's accurate.
Yeah. So yeah, thanks for coming down here. And
Yeah.
Looking forward to a great week.
Yeah.
We're gonna have fun experimenting and making stuff up. Maybe innovating something while we're here.
Yeah, probably.
All right. Well, I also just want to say you're the first person I've ever met from Rhode Island. So
All right.
It's officially real, guys. Rhode Island is real.
It's a real place. It's not long. It's not part of New York either. It's not Long Island.
All right. Thank you for spending time with us, guys. We'll see you at the Andy Davis Hammer-In 3 weeks.
3 weeks.
3 weeks. We got a lot to get done, guys.
Oh, no.
I do that. I cough on camera.
That's
Thanks, guys.
Nervous cough.
We'll see you next week.
Yeah. I like the,
Play that Josh Prince role. Show him how to find him. Show him. Guys, pay attention to the video. This is how you find Josh.
Oh, that's Leia.
Leia will be at.
I scrolled too far on all these.
She's teaching a class.
Hammer-In.
Yep. She'll be demonstrating at the Hammer-In.
Oh.
And that's Charlie.
There's Charlie. Okay, there it is. I had both of them pulled up.
Oh, not the Woodworks one, the Woodworks Forge. I got a couple.
Yeah. All right, guys. Now we'll see you next week.
Yeah, Leah's going to be teaching She's going to be teaching